Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now in today's video, I'm joined with former Arsenal player Adrian Clarke. Thank you so much for joining me today, Adrian. How are you doing?
That's all right. Yeah, no, it's really good. Really good to be with you. Yeah, all good. We just had a power cut here, which has delayed things. We were supposed to start 8:30, and literally at 8:29 and a half, everything just went black. So, but we're back up and running. We've got power, so all good.
Yeah, but the timing of that was very strange, but we're back on, which is good. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on as well, Adrian. I know you're very busy, so I appreciate it. I did want to start off by talking a bit about your time at Arsenal. You did make 9 appearances for the club, and I'd just love to know what it felt like to represent a club like Arsenal.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Well, it was a long journey, so it's not something that just happens overnight.
Mm,
So I sort of got spotted when I was 10, and then sort of went for a trial or a few trials, and then got signed up for what was called the Centre of Excellence then, which would be the
mhm,
academy now. And yeah, just went all the way through, and yeah, through the youth team into the reserves. I played a million reserve games. Played many years in the sort of just the team outside the first team, and then yeah, got my chances, and it was such a buzz, such a great feeling to walk out, particularly at Highbury. I'd sat and watched so many games as a kid growing up, dreaming about being out there on the pitch, and then when you're in the tunnel lined up and it's actually happening, it's quite surreal, really. But yeah, just very proud, and very excited I was to be part of it. I wasn't that nervous, I got to be honest. I
mm.
just was super excited to show people, what I could do, I guess. So yeah, no, it was a wonderful experience. It just went too quickly, Sophie. It's just
Yeah.
I just wish that I had more games, more opportunities, but it's hard. It's Arsenal has such high standards. You have to be really, really good to play for the club,
Mm.
numerous occasions. So yeah, I'm grateful for the games that I had.
Yeah, it must be like such a special feeling, especially playing at Highbury. We know like what an incredible place that was. Obviously, as a younger fan myself, I didn't experience that, but what was it like for you playing at that stadium? Because a lot of people, like rival fans, like were just so blown away by how incredible Highbury was.
Yeah, it was just a traditional stadium. It was
Mhm.
the fans were so close to the pitch. Obviously, the capacity I think was 38,000 when I was playing, all seater. Back in the day, when I was a kid watching the team, it was standing and you could fit 60,000 in. But yeah, 38,000, but it was really close to the pitch. It's quite a small pitch, but it was always immaculate, like it is now. It was always one of the best pitches in the league, and yeah, it was just surreal to be on that field playing with Dennis Bergkamp, playing with Ian Wright and Tony Adams and Paul Merson, and there's Nigel Winterburn's giving me the ball. It was just fantastic, and it's one of those where you kind of wish you could drink it in and sort of almost hold that memory because it just goes by in a flash. And then the next thing you know, it's 5 years later, and yeah, that they are just memories, and you wish you could sort of go back there and have another go at it, really. But yeah, it was it was great, and I played okay when I got into the first team. It wasn't easy. The team weren't doing brilliantly. We were quite up and down, but you know, I proved that I could play at that level. I fitted in fine. I just didn't probably just didn't quite stand out enough. Didn't score a goal. Came close a few times, and yeah, it was just it was great while it lasted. I'd love to have had more opportunities. I think I could have done really well under Arsene Wenger because he was
Mhm.
such a good football coach, and would love to have played in his first team, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's just like you said, so amazing to have played for Arsenal. Like not many people have been lucky enough, and like you said, even though it was 9 appearances, it must have felt like so special, like you said. And like you did say, you did play with some incredible, talented players like Bergkamp, like you said.
Mm.
For you, like especially in the first team watching Arsenal, who were your heroes growing up?
Oh yeah. Well, the team that I grew up watching when I first sort of got spotted and then used to get tickets to the games was kind of 89 and
Yeah.
91, those two teams, those two title winning sides. So the players in my position, David Rocastle was just, fantastic. I was a winger. I was more of a left winger than a right winger, but really always enjoyed watching Rocky play. Anders Limpar was another one. He was on the other side of the pitch. And yeah, all of them. I mean, Tony Adams, David Seaman, they were all fantastic. But I didn't really have a hero as such, but I had
Mhm.
lots and lots of players that I admired on the way up. My favourite ever player, actually, when I was a kid, was a player that used to play for Tottenham, Chris Waddle. I don't know if you'd remember him. You're probably too young, but he was a fantastic winger, really, really clever. He used to drop a shoulder and do a lot of tricks. And I didn't model my game on him, but people used to tell me I was a little bit like him. So Chris Waddle was the player that I really, really liked. But from an Arsenal perspective, it was the wingers and the midfielders. So yeah, Limpar, Rocastle, they were the two that I sort of grew up aspiring to follow in their footsteps, I guess.
I love that as well because for me, like Rocky is one of my favorite of all time. Like, obviously, I didn't get to watch him, as he's way before my time. But I think for him, I love players that play with that passion, that
Mm,
fight every game, and you could tell how much he loved Arsenal. So it's
yeah.
just lovely to see how many amazing players we've had over the years. It's always hard to kind of answer who your favorite player is because there's always so many to choose from. I would
But
love
he
to
he
know.
he came through the academy, you see, though. But so he was
Yeah,
really, really, he was Arsenal through and through.
yeah,
Like he really got it, and he got the sort of he got the honor of wearing that badge, and he was a proper gooner,
yeah.
and that definitely rubbed off on the younger players, and we just wanted to sort of following people like his footsteps. Paul Davis, Michael Thomas, these guys all came through at the same time. Paul Merson as well, all great players that came through the youth system, and it sort of paved the way for the rest of us to follow. Yeah, I count myself really lucky. I actually got to play with Rocky a few times, sort of in training games at London Colney. It was awesome. It was obviously so sad what happened to
Mm,
him ultimately, but the memories I have
yeah.
of him fighting really hard every single time he played, but also just tearing fullbacks apart. Pieces of skill, beating them on the outside, scoring goals. He was terrific.
Yeah, he really was amazing, and like everyone that if you ask people about him, they always have lovely things to say about him because as a person as well, he was just such a wonderful person, and yeah, it's just so nice to see that he played for our club and how much he loved Arsenal. And we know now with like the Arsenal players, I think they're quite a likable bunch. I think like years ago, if people would have asked you who your favourite players are, you might have only had a few, but now I could pick all of them because they're so lovely. I would love to know though, out of all the players we have now, who would you have loved to have played with?
Oh, yeah, played with. I'll tell you what, as a winger,
Mhm,
uh, that sort of wants the ball to feet. I would say that it would be a treat to play with Zinchenko,
mhm,
because Zinchenko obviously he's a very, very good passer. I love the way that he sort of picks the ball up in crazy areas that you don't expect, and he's always willing to play those forward passes into the forwards' feet. And yeah, whether I was playing left wing, right wing, or sometimes I played as a number 10, I think I would have loved to have been on the receiving end of those passes, because I know that he would have given me the passes that I would have wanted.
mhm.
So Zinchenko would be one, but I think in terms of my favourites that I'd sort of love to be teammates with, it would, yeah, I mean, probably Erdegaard and Saka. Like, yeah, I would happily play in a team on the left wing instead of Gabriel Martinelli, with sort of Erdegaard just inside me and Saka on the other wing. That would be my dream sort of attacking midfield
I
trio.
love that.
With Zinny just behind me. Yeah, I can work with that, no problem at all. I wish I was 21 again. I really do. So
I know it's hard really to pick players because there's so many amazing players in the team. We know defensively, Saliba, Gabriel are like
mm,
amazing, but I think for me, if I had to pick, I'd definitely go Saka or Odegaard because I think as a fan, they're just a joy to watch. I did want to ask you Phil's question.
Yeah.
Is this our best side since the Invincibles?
Yeah, it's a good question. It might be. Yeah. I mean, based on what we did last season,
Mhm.
points wise, um, it probably is, isn't it? Because we weren't too far off at all. What they achieved, obviously, we
Yeah.
were beaten a few times, but we were at one point on course to beat their points tally, weren't we? So
Mm.
look, yeah, I think we're the best team. I think we've had some really good players along the way. You know, your Jack Wilsheres and your Cazorla. I mean, so many. So Van Persie was a great player. Alexis Sanchez, all these guys. But I think since the Invincibles, we struggled to find the right blend between sort of youth and experience. We weren't able, unfortunately, to buy the elite players at their peak. We had to sort of make compromises because we're paying for the stadium, and you know, Arsene Wenger had to work with really tight budgets. And
Mhm.
it's only really now that we're able to go out there and get the very best players in the world, really, in their positions. Declan Rice is the guy that I'm talking about. I mean, everybody wanted him, and we got him. So that I think is a sign that we're
Mm.
back and that we're
Yeah.
pretty close to the status that the Invincibles had. And yeah, I look across the team. It's not perfect, but the Invincibles team wasn't always perfect. They didn't always play brilliantly. They scraped a lot of draws during that campaign. But what they had was a really good will to win, great
Mm.
mentality, loads of character, some unbelievably talented players, but also this strong camaraderie. And that camaraderie gets you through when you're not playing that well. It turns draws into wins, a little bit like the Man United game, really. We weren't brilliant, were we, in the match? But
Yeah.
I felt that camaraderie really sort of pushed us on late on in the game, and they had that. So yeah, I think this is. I know we've won a few cups
Yeah.
since, but I think it is the best team since the Invincibles. It's certainly the most likable group of players, and it's the one It's the team I'm most excited about. Look, I wasn't working back at Arsenal, sort of in the media in the Invincibles time.
Yeah.
Um, so since I've been back, which is probably, I don't know, 12 years, something like that. This is the best team by far. And I'm loving it. It's great. Great to watch them every week.
Yeah, I agree. I think like last season, and sort of this season as well, I think this is probably the best since then. Um, I think last season to go for the league, and we didn't expect it. I'm not sure if you did, but I didn't
No,
expect we would
no
go for the
one did.
league. And I think not only that, I just felt like I enjoyed what we were like the football we were playing. As a fan, it was just enjoyable to watch. And I did want to ask you a bit about this season as well,
Mm,
because we've only had a few games. I think we haven't really had the fast, fluid start we did last season, but I think that win against United has probably shown us that we're still got a fighting spirit. We're still not giving up.
yeah.
For you, we know how good Man City are.
Mm.
They feel like I just feel like they're unbeatable. I feel like they're never going to lose a game. Um, for you, do you think we can go for the league again and compete with Man City this season?
I think we can. Obviously, a lot of it depends on City.
Hmm.
Hopefully, they'll have a few off days and slip
Yeah,
up. Um, yeah, no, I think we'll get better and better, and I certainly don't see any reason why we'll be worse this year. I know the start hasn't been quite as good.
yeah,
Pre-season wasn't quite as good as it was last season, but we've got a better squad, and providing we keep the bulk of those players fit and healthy, I think we should still improve. I just think there's a lot of new things that the manager's trying. He's sort of experimented with a few different systems, with obviously using Partey at right back and pushing him
yeah.
into midfield. That's different. Kai Havertz and Erdegaard playing quite high up. That's new. Obviously, Jesus has been out, not ideal. Zinchenko was out. So I think there are mitigating circumstances to the sort of slowish start.
Hmm.
But when you think about it, the only game we haven't scored at least 2 goals in was Crystal Palace away, and that's where we had 10 men. So people are saying that it's been, we're not our fluid best, and I think we'd all agree, yeah, that's true. We
Yeah,
still scored 2 goals in 4 of the 5 games.
yeah,
So it's not that bad, and uh, yeah, I think it can get so much better. That's what's exciting. You think, well, if we're
yeah.
scoring 2 goals, or 3 goals when we're not really at it, then what are we gonna be like when we're free flowing? Which will come. It definitely will. What I've actually liked is the fact that we haven't given many chances up. The goals we've given away have been terrible. Okay, they've all been
Yeah.
gifts. They've all been really quite bad individual mistakes, mainly. If you've put them to one side, really, the defence hasn't been pulled around that much at all. I think we've been pretty well organised and really solid. And I was looking at some of the numbers earlier, and yeah, it's only City that have faced fewer shots than us. So I think that's not bad going. Actually, I think we've maybe are showing signs of improvement defensively, even though the goals have been bad. I still think overall we may be defending a little bit better than what we were, which is, you know, that was one of the reasons we sort of didn't win the league in the end, wasn't it? We conceded too many goals.
Yeah, I think as well, like, because Arteta was sort of tinkering around the formation and the players, I think having Gabriel back definitely helps us. I've really missed him, but I think because I feel like a lot more comfortable now. We've got Zinchenko back. I think he's just a great player in the team, and I feel like when he's not in the team, we just really miss him. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree. I think we've actually not done bad. We've not lost a game yet.
Yeah.
We've only drawn one. I think we've won 3. So I think you can't really complain about that. I think it was just worrying when United got that goal. I thought, I hope we don't fall apart. But I'm really proud of the team for coming back from that game. It must have been hard with the players, because United for us, like as Arsenal fans, Arsenal United has always been a massive game for us. But for you, how proud were you of the team for showing that fighting spirit to come back and win it?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I was jumping around like a
Me
crazy
too.
person at the end of the game. It was when Jesus went through. It was a great moment. It was not quite Bournemouth of last year, but it was good. It was really really exciting. The noise inside Emirates Stadium was just incredible. Cacophony it was. Yeah, I was proud of the team because they weren't their best. They weren't. They were finding it a bit of a grind, and they weren't. They looked a bit tired to me for parts of that second half, but
Yeah.
they kept going and they kept being patient, and eventually we put a good corner into the box, and Declan Rice obviously controlled his shot well. It was a good goal. And then you could just feel the release, couldn't you? And then, yeah, I loved the fact that we went and got the third, and it was beautiful, wasn't it? The way that
Oh, it was
Jesus,
lovely.
yeah, chopped it inside Dallo, still sliding somewhere in the universe. It was amazing.
I've watched that
Um,
so many times.
I know there's some great memes, aren't there? But no, the team have got spirit. We know that they've got loads of talent. We just need that fluidity, and
Yeah.
it's just games. It's just going to take a little bit longer, I think, for us to get fully into our groove. But once we do, we're going to be great to watch. We are, and I think City are worried about us more than anybody else. We are clearly the next best team, in my opinion. I still think we will at least be second.
Yeah.
I absolutely can't see us being below third this season.
Yeah, I agree because I've seen like a few fans, like rival fans, saying that we'll finish fourth, we'll finish outside the top 4, and I'm just thinking like, there's no way that's happening. Like, I just can't imagine that happening because in my eyes, I still think we're probably behind City a bit. We're trying to catch up with them, and then United are a bit behind us.
Mm.
So I definitely think with that. And I did want to ask you about Declan Rice because, as we know, he did score that fantastic goal. I screamed the house down. I was like jumping up and down. That was such a great goal. We do know obviously he was a lot of money, 100 million. Do you feel at the moment he's been worth every penny from what you've seen from him?
Oh yeah, he's definitely worth it. Yeah, honestly, if there's one player that I would have wanted us to sign this summer, even if you're chucking crazy names at me, obviously, like Messi, but
Yeah.
that's unrealistic. But because that was never going to happen. But of all the players that were realistic, Rice was the one I wanted because he's such a leader. He's
Yeah.
such a good character, and pretty much the best in his position around. I think Rodri at Manchester City is maybe a fraction better, but there's really not much in it between them in terms of all round strong, powerful defensive midfielders that can do a bit more than that. I think Rodri and Rice are the top people. I really do. So I think we're really lucky to have him, and he's only just getting going. I think in the Forest game he wasn't really fit, so he was just sort of working his way in. And then against Palace, he stepped it up a gear. And then in the next game against Fulham, he was even better. And yeah, I think against United, he was the man of the match. Clearly, it wasn't just the goal; he just always seems to be in the right place. He always makes the right choice of pass, and he knows when to drive forward. He knows when to keep it calm, and you can rely on him. I don't think he'll make very many mistakes this season, and those are all. They're not like he's not going to stick it in the top corner every week. He's not going to dribble past 10 players and not make the goalie. That's not what we paid the money for. We paid the money for someone who does the basics brilliantly, and that's that you need that.
Yeah, definitely. For me, like you, he's been my dream signing. It still feels like surreal that we've actually got him because I've admired him for years. Like he's been such a great captain, a great leader for West Ham, and it's such an honour to have him at our club. And I think from what I've seen so far, I feel like really comfortable with him in the midfield, like he's been here forever. And I think that goal topped it off. I think he's been doing everything that we want from him, but that goal was super special, and I love that from him. I know another Arsenal signing that's been getting a little bit of criticism, and I want to ask you about this. We know of Havertz. It's been quite hard for him, I would say, because there's fans that sort of don't say much and keep it to themselves and want to see how it goes, and there's other fans that are quite harsh on him, saying that he doesn't really help this team right now. What are your thoughts on him right now from what you've seen from him?
Oh, look, we want him to play better, don't we? I don't think he's brought anywhere near his top form so far. He's looked a bit nervous, a little bit timid, just lacking in confidence. And yeah, we would have hoped for more. We would have hoped that he would have contributed a goal or a couple of assists and just sort of dominated a little bit more than what he has. Obviously, it was a bit of a nightmare. The miss against Manchester United with a sort of air shot, and then of course he plays the square pass that was really dangerous. It was a poor choice of pass, and of course Manchester United go and score from it. So everything seems to be going against him.
Yeah.
I just think we've got to, as a fan base, really get behind him. Don't get on his back if we can help it. Give him as much love and support as we can, and I think he will come good. I really do. He's a quality player. I know that he didn't have a great time at Chelsea, but there were flashes there, and at Leverkusen he was brilliant. So I think he will be fine. He just needs a goal. He needs something good to happen for him, and then I think he'll relax into it, and he'll be all right. But I probably wouldn't have picked him at the weekend if Thomas Partey was fit. I probably would have gone with a bit, maybe Partey and Rice and Odegaard in midfield or something like that. Or I might have even gone with Fabio Vieira ahead of him, just on form. But he played and he got through it, and it didn't go perfectly to plan, but he it wasn't terrible. It would just be really interesting to see what happens for the Everton game now, whether he gets another chance or whether Vieira comes in or whether we change things up. But I think that Mikel is determined to stick with him and give him his backing. And I think we as the supporters, we've just got to try and bite our tongues. Even when we are frustrated, we've got to try, those in the stadium, of course, have got to try if they can to get behind him, like we do other players when they're having a tough time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because at Chelsea, a lot of people would have seen him struggling to score goals. And I suppose maybe some of that criticism's from that because he struggled at Chelsea. People might think the same will happen here. But I see it as a fresh start for him. And Arteta has shown that he can get the best out of players. We know with Xhaka what a great turnaround that was. And I think that is a big part to do with Arteta and how he's helped players develop. And I do think fans are entitled to their opinion, and if a player isn't doing good, I think it's okay for them to kind of say how they feel. But do you think some of the criticism towards Kai Havertz is a bit harsh and unfair, or do you think it's reasonable?
Yeah, I don't like it when I hear supporters sort of slating him and
Yeah.
saying, he's writing him off basically and saying what a waste of money he is, because that's not going to help, is it? It's 4 games, and yeah, he can absolutely. We can all have runs of 4 or 5 games where we're not very good.
Hmm.
I would just urge a little bit of patience. I'm not going to tell people what to think or
Yeah.
say. Everyone can say what they like, but yeah, I just think if we can try and get behind him, it will help. You got to remember, like at Manchester City, everyone says, "Well, playing for Pep Guardiola, it takes a full season to fully
Hmm.
understand what he needs from the players." No one really says that about Arteta, but Arteta is a very similar coach to Pep Guardiola. The style of play, the detail he goes into, the unusual ideas and methods that he's got. So I think we got to cut the new boys some slack and just accept that it might take a little bit of a time for him to settle. But yeah, look, if after 6 months he still hasn't produced very much of note, then I think we can say, well, look, there's a bit of a problem there, but it's way too soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, like, I'd probably give it maybe 10 games for me to judge him, because I think right now it's a bit early on. But I guess, like you said, it's not for us to say if fans are being too harsh, but with their criticism. But I suppose if you come into a new team, you want all that support and positivity around you. So
Mm,
yeah, I hope it works out, and I'm sure it will, because I think as the games have gone on, I think he's gotten better. I feel like our last game against United, if we would have got that penalty, he sort of won us it.
mm.
But so I felt like it wasn't his day. It was quite
Yeah,
unfortunate with that sitter he missed as well. So I feel like when he has that day, when he will score those goals, it'll be great to see the fans behind him.
yeah,
I
and
did, yeah,
it's human as well, Sophie. It's like if you or me were on the pitch and you knew that the fans, they're all around you, 60,000, it's amazing. But if you knew, because he knows in his heart that the fans love all the players on that pitch, but they're
yeah,
not sure about him. He knows that. He absolutely knows it. And he's going out there onto the pitch thinking, right, I've got to show them today how
yeah.
good a player I am. And then if he does a loose pass, he can hear the groans. Of course he can. And it just makes things worse. He's just got to be mentally strong, believe in himself, and he will come good. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, it is hard, really. I'm sure as a player, if you've had a bad game, you yourself will know that yourself, and it's probably hard to hear other people telling you that, like fans, because you already know you don't want other people to tell you that, except like a manager and like your players. I think that's okay. So it must be quite hard to hear it from a lot of people on social media. But like you said, we all want it to work out for him. Fingers crossed it will. I think it will. I just think he's a player that needs time. But as fans, we're very impatient and we don't have time, and we want him to score loads of goals now. But I think it's about supporting him, believing in him, and after maybe 10 games, you can have your opinion and judgment then. I think right now it is quite soon to kind of say that. It's only been like 4 games, and I
Mm.
think Arteta does believe in him, so I think we should as well. I did want to ask you a bit about Arteta though, because what a journey it's been under him. Competing for the league last season, hopefully again this season. We have obviously had a few difficult moments, as you know. But what have you made of the job he's done, like overall?
Oh, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, surprised me in lots and lots of good ways, really, because he wasn't a
Hmm.
manager before. Yeah,
Yeah,
he wasn't a manager. Now, he everyone would want Mikel Arteta, wouldn't they? Really? I mean, he's built a great team, our best since
yeah,
the Invincibles. It's a great style of play. He's attracting some of the world's best players to come to our club. The connection with the fans is great. I mean, he's sort of ticking every box, isn't he? Really, he's got that passion as well, that little bit of fire that we all like to see as well. Yeah, even though we don't want him getting yellow cards, we kind of secretly like it when when he gets pumped up, don't we? So, look, yeah,
yeah,
he's he's got the players on side, hasn't he? The players, and this is a group of really good players. They all trust Mikel Arteta. They think he's going to make them better players, and they also think that he's going to help them win trophies. and yeah, it's just a brilliant place to be in. But you know, a little bit like Kai Havertz, I suppose. You know, I don't want to compare the two particularly, but
Mm.
it wasn't great at the start. You know, it took a while to get going. The season behind closed doors um, during the COVID time was awful. You know, we were not playing good football, not scoring very many goals, and we were mid-table, weren't we? So it's been a slow process, but he got rid of the players that he needed to get rid of. He's brought in young, hungry, talented players that he knows will listen to him, and he knows he can mould. And yeah, I think he's done an awesome job of developing a young, vibrant, exciting team that should be really, really good for at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the last maybe season or two, we're starting to kind of really feel like we can compete again. And I think it has had to take some time because, some of these players weren't probably right for Arsenal when we've had to move them on. And these things do take time. And
Yeah.
I feel like with Arteta, I've always felt like he would be a good manager for us when he gets his own players in. And it's quite hard because there's been players that aren't really here. Some of them have been Wenger's, Unai Emery's. So I think it's had to take time. But yeah, I just want to touch on this because I agree. You do feel this connection, a really strong connection between the team and the fans. One of the games, I think it might have been a season or two ago, where we played Aston Villa, I think, and Leno made a great save. I think it just shows you, like, Ramsdale as well. We're so happy for him, and we don't have any, like, negativity. You're just all positive people, and you want the best for each other. And for you, don't you feel like there's been a big change, even though we've not really won many trophies in the last few years? There's just this
Yeah.
togetherness that we've missed.
Oh no, the connection's amazing. Yeah, I think is it Phil? I think it's absolutely bang on. Anyone that's lucky enough to have a ticket for the games will just feel it. I mean, you just feel that we're a family again.
Mm.
And I'll probably go back to the days of 91 when we won the league. Only lost one game that year. It's a long, long time ago, but it was like that then in 89, in 91. And again, when Wenger had the peak team with the Invincibles, it was the same. Everyone was on the same page. We loved the players loved the fans. The manager could walk on water. It's a great feeling. It's nice going to the games again. I worked on a lot of matches during the late Arsene Wenger years on the gantry commentating, and it was unbearable sometimes because
Yeah.
of the poison that was coming out of the mouths of some of the supporters. They were just so unhappy and so bitter about certain things, and fans were arguing with each other. It was horrible. But right now, there's just love is in the air at Emirates Stadium. All corners of Emirates Stadium are in it together, and the noise is unreal compared to before.
Mm.
But it's not a fluke. Arteta has built the connection. He's worked hard at sort of making sure that he communicates with the fans and the supporters. He's made sure that he's playing a brand of football that they like, and he also knows that supporters need to see the team fighting, even if they're like really, really skillful players. We all want to see them fighting for the badge and
Mm.
clearing off the line and making blocks and throwing their body on the line. And we get that, don't we, with this team? So it's a great connection. Probably the best in the league.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you think about it, years ago, like you said, under Wenger's last few years, it was a quite toxic, quite bad environment. And
Mm.
now, the Emirates used to be named as a library because it was quiet, and now the atmosphere is so incredible. When I've been to games before, I find it quite emotional because, like, with the North London Forever song and with the fans singing it all, it's just so heartwarming. And I feel like this is where we're supposed to be. Obviously it was disappointing not to win the league last season because I really thought it was our time. But I just feel like there's been so many positives, so much to love about the season and about the progress we're making under Arteta, because a lot of people didn't think we could compete for the league under Arteta. A lot of people have doubted him and haven't been sure. So it's always nice to see people being proved wrong. So I love to see how far we've come. Phil has asked, Charles Watts said this morning he has a hunch that Raya is soon going to replace Ramsdale as number one. I can't see it. What does Adrian think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe where he's coming from there is I think that Ramsdale replaced Leno after an international break a couple of years ago, shortly after he came in, and that was when Mikel opted to make that change. So yeah, there's a part of me that thinks if he's going to do it, it could be now. But Ramsdale's just been named in the team of the season, team of the year. Ramsdale is, I think, on the shortlist of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world. Like the timing is really good for Aaron Ramsdale with these nominations, because
Yeah.
it makes you think, well, how can you leave him out? And I've got to say, on performances, he doesn't deserve to be left out. I think that he's not making mistakes. He's doing fine. So, but Raya hasn't come to be on the bench, has he? He knows he's going to get games.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to play in the Champions League and the League Cup, David Raya? And then they're going to have a shootout. I'm fascinated to see how Arteta goes about it, because statistically, last season Raya was the better goalkeeper. He had a better save accuracy, save success rate. His numbers were ridiculously good. Aaron's was strong, but nowhere near as strong as Raya. So, watch this space. I don't know. I kind of don't. I don't want Ramsdale to lose his spot, because I love his character and personality.
Yeah, I love him. He's incredible.
Exactly. So, but at the same time, I also like the fact that we got 2 really good goalies pushing each other, and I think that they're going to make each other better. I really do. But yeah, hand on heart, I don't think it's going to change now. I don't. I could be wrong, but by the end of the season, I don't know. There's something that tells me that Raya might be playing more games than Ramsdale by the end of the season. But it's up to Aaron. If Aaron is so brilliant that he can't be left out, he'll keep the shirt.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I really love Ramsdale. I think it's great how he reacts to opposite team fans. I think he's got that funny side to him. I just love him, and he's just got a great character. And he always has reminded me of David Seaman. I agree with that. He's been incredible. But like you said, Raya hasn't come in, just to play a few games, just to be the backup. He wants that competition. And I think competition is healthy. And Ramsdale, I've seen in some interviews that he said, bring it on, he's ready for it. And I think, as a player, it probably make him better if he is up for that test. But we do know with Zinchenko and Tierney did play a lot, and then Zinchenko came, and then Tierney's had to go on loan, and he's not really had many minutes. So it's hard, because I want
tough
him.
Business football. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
There's always, honestly, throughout my career, wherever I was, if I was in the first team, you couldn't relax, because you knew there was someone good coming up that wants your job. They're trying to take it, and it's the same in all the positions. And yeah, you've just got to blank that out and concentrate on yourself and make sure you're really good. Make sure you're the best that you can be. And if the manager still leaves you out, even though you couldn't do any better, then maybe it's time to move on. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing this duel unfold. I think Raya will have his moments, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing him in the team to see how different it is.
Yeah, and I agree, because when Ramsdale came in, a lot of people weren't happy with that, and a lot of people thought, will he start over Leno? And he's shown that he's took Leno's place, and he's still doing it. So I think it's probably a good thing, but it'll be weird not seeing him play if Raya does come in. But we obviously know we've got Champions League games, so maybe he'll get a few of those games in the group stages to see how he is. I did want to ask you about this with Smith
Mm.
Rowe because Kai Havertz has came in and he's had a lot of game time, and I suppose if he wasn't here, maybe Smith Rowe would get more game time. I don't know. For you with Smith Rowe, we know we did have a difficult injury. He's recovered from that, and he looks a lot more bulkier, a lot more stronger now than he ever did before. For you, do you think he will come back? Do you reckon Arteta's going to give him any game time anytime soon?
Well, I really hope so. Yeah. Do I think it? Based on what we've seen this season, he'll play. He'll probably play in the Carabao Cup, and then he'll have to play well.
Yeah,
And then if he doesn't play well in that game against Brentford, then you fear that he's going to be on the bench, maybe unused. In the next batch of games, it's just he's unlucky that competition for places is so fierce, isn't it? Because
yeah,
in that position, obviously you got Odegaard who's in one of the positions. He's not. He's always going to play. He's the captain. He's a brilliant player. Then there's Havertz. If it's not Havertz, it could be Vieira. If it's not Vieira, it could be Trossard. If it's not Trossard, it could be Rice. If it's not
yeah,
Rice, then it might be Smith Rowe. Do you know what I mean? He could be fourth or fifth in line for that position. Maybe if something happens to Martinelli or Saka in terms of an injury, he'll get some game time in the wide areas. I feel for him because he's not really done anything wrong. It's just that the players ahead of him in the queue aren't doing anything, bad enough really to suggest that they need to be left out. Some people will argue that Havertz
yeah.
isn't, but I think that you've got to allow him a bit of time to bed in. So I think if I'm Smith Rowe, I am actually thinking, is my future here? I don't think we can shy away from that because he's at an age where he needs to play. He was in the England
Mm,
squad. He's now
yeah.
obviously nowhere near it. So if I put myself in his shoes, I'd be thinking, what can I do to change the manager's mind to get me into the team? Or is it mission impossible? That's what he's got to weigh up. But from a selfish point of view, I want him to stay because he's a great
Yeah,
player.
me too.
Yeah. So it's a quandary. It might be that if this goes on and on and on, that Emil himself has to say, look, if I can't play here,
Mm.
reluctantly, I think I might need to go somewhere else. And I'd be very sad to lose him, but he's too good to be unused most weeks.
Yeah, it's a really tough one because I think in the transfer window, I think he might have been linked to like Chelsea.
Oh no,
From what
you
I've
couldn't
saw,
send him to
yeah,
Chelsea.
I thought, and I think for me, like it would hurt, but like with the Tierney thing, I kind of understand because if Smith Rowe this season doesn't get many minutes, I feel like it's not fair on him. But I'm with you at the same time. I want him at Arsenal because I know how much he loves the club, and I know that he wants to be a legend here, and I really want that dream to come true because I feel like with Saka, I feel like it will. To me, he's like a legend anyway. But I feel like if he keeps on going, he can win some amazing trophies with us, and I
Mm.
really want Smith Rowe to experience that, and it's really hard. Yeah, and I just think he's so talented, and it's hard on him as well. It feels like he's like wasting away if he's just on the bench or if he's
Yeah.
not getting many minutes. So fingers crossed, he does. And I'm sure Arteta will. I feel like if they want to keep him, they should see, about that. I did also want to ask you a bit about Eddie Nketiah
Mm.
because he's gone into the England squad, which is amazing. And I just think he's doing really well this season. I feel like he doesn't always get the credit he deserves and he should get more love. And what have you made of him so far this season?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't think he was going to be good enough to be
Yeah.
Arsenal's striker, but he has changed my mind. He is a worthy
Hmm.
member of the first team squad, absolutely, and he started the season great. Deserves the England call up. I think his hold up play is good. I think his movement's excellent. He's finishing. He's getting better and better. I mean, there's not much not to like about Eddie Nketiah. The only thing that goes against Eddie is that he's not Gabriel Jesus. I mean, he can't do anything about that. Gabriel
Yeah.
Jesus is just a ridiculous footballer, isn't he? In terms of when he's fit and healthy, he's just a joy to watch. He's so skillful. He's so vibrant, and defenders just hate playing against Gabriel Jesus. So for me, Jesus kind of is always going to be above Eddie. because I just love watching him. But I think that Eddie is getting the best out of himself, and kudos to him, and well done for staying as well. Because we're just talking about Smith Rowe, saying, you know, in his shoes, he must be thinking about it. Well, Eddie was in that position, and he sort of backed himself, didn't he? And said, "No, I'll stay and fight. I'll sign a new contract. I'll fight for my place." So yeah, well done to him. I still think long term, I struggle to see him being the numero uno up top, but he's proved us wrong before. He can do it again.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Eddie is quite underrated at times, and I feel like sometimes there are chances that I think in a game like he should finish, but I do feel like as a player he's like he doesn't always get, you know, appreciation he deserves, and find him quite underrated and unappreciated. But I feel like fans are warming up to him now because he does put his effort in the game. He's always gives you 100%, and I think it's hard because for me, if I was asked, would I rather see Jesus play or him? Jesus is that finisher. He's just that goal against United. I could watch that all day. He's just an excellent finisher. So I think there's two different types of players, but I think they both are excellent to watch. But yeah, it's a tough one really because I love Eddie and I'm happy, like you said, he stayed here and kept his place. So hopefully, you know, he'll have a great season for us. But thank you so much, Adrian, for coming on my channel tonight. It's been so lovely to chat with you. I could chat with you all day. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, thanks for the invite. And yeah, I've seen you've had some great guests before as well, and I'm sure you get lots more in the future. So yeah, keep up the good work. It's flown by what we've been chatting, 3/4 of an hour. It's whizzed by. So all good, Soph.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I hope you all enjoyed this as well. And thank you so much for your comments for me to read out to Adrian. I hope it all went okay. I hope you all enjoyed it, and yeah, I will see you all very soon. Thank you again.